to Stash Chats. This is your first time watching. Stash Chats is my weekly live show where each week I talk to different members of the sewing community about their sewing journey, their sewing stash, and what they're up to. So I am Yvette. I'm the co-founder of the Stash Hub Sewing Organizer app. So thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching live, do pop into the live chat. Kick us off by letting us know where you're joining from. So I can see we've already got Mel from Surrey, Jan from London, and we've got Alison from the Isle of Sheppey. So thanks to you guys for joining us so far. Do pop your questions for our guest Jen in the chat as well, and we'll weave those into our sewing and stash conversation as we go along. We've got Pamela joining us from Orkney as well. Discovered Jen thanks to your post today. Love her. So, I mean, that's a great praise that you've already got a fan, Jen. You've only just been discovered today. That's amazing. So, yeah, I'm really excited to get into this chat with Jen. But before we get started, I'm just going to give you a brief bit of update on the Stash Hub news, because we've got a big new update that's come out this week, which is the bulk edit update. So I put a link in the description below this YouTube video to the tutorial if you haven't checked out bulk edit? It's bulk edit, the new update. So yeah, check out that tutorial if you haven't checked it out yet. So that is the big news in Stash Hub land. And so let's get on to the stash chat. So today I'm talking to Jen, who is known as Shirty Deeds on YouTube and Instagram. So do check out Jen's channel if you haven't checked it out yet. Again, there are links below this video. So Jen is a sewer and a knitter. So she shares her sewing journey on YouTube, and it's a really fun channel. So definitely check that out. And she's also working on a project that she's called the Big Stashdown to reduce her personal sewing stash this year. So I'm really excited to get to hear more about how the Big Stashdown is going and how that project came about. So I'm sure you guys will have loads of questions about that as well, because I think worrying about our sewing size of our sewing stashes is quite a common thing in the sewing community. So let's get Jen on and learn more about her. Hi Jen.
Hello.
Welcome to Stash Chat.
Thank you. I finally made it onto Stash Chats.
Woo! So exciting.
I've made it now.
Yeah. You can't do anything else now. You might as well just quit sewing now. You peaked.
It's very nice to be on. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's really exciting. So do you want to just kick us off by telling us how you first got into sewing?
Oh, kind of a long story, I suppose. Like many people, I started when I was a child. First of all, at home, I knew my mum always had a sewing machine and did various bits and bobs, mending stuff and like probably hemming curtains, that kind of thing. This sort of cranky old mechanical machine. And I think when I must have been less than 10, I said, oh, can I have a bit of a go at sewing? So she taught me how to like thread the machine, how to use it safely, that kind of thing. And we made a few bits. And I seem to remember we went to a place in Derby, where I'm originally from, called Hook and Eye. I don't know if anybody that's been is around in Derby anymore, I don't live there anymore, can tell me if that Hook and Eye shop is still there. But it was like a haberdashery type shop, and it was amazing. They just had like everything, and they had those big folders of plastic wallets that you would flip through, a bit like the Argos catalogue, but all for sewing patterns. And I distinctly remember going into that shop and searching for my first ever sort of garment sewing pattern to make. And me and my mum, between us, made a reversible waistcoat thing for me.
That's really on trend now.
Yeah, but at the time, probably not so much. It was like checked on the inside. It was checked on the inside and chambray on the outside. And of course, being the kind of traditional old-fashioned Big Four type pattern, the sizing was completely off. This thing was enormous. It didn't look very good. I'm not sure whether we picked the right fabrics, but I was so proud of myself that we'd managed to make this thing. And then we sort of did various sewing bits at school, and I am still of that kind of elder millennial generation where we did textiles at school, and I got to take textiles GCSE, so learnt a load more doing that, and at the same time had been doing stuff at home, like making various, mainly accessories. Like I was quite into making bags and stuff as a teenager. And then I kind of let it slide for a while. Went off to university, didn't have a sewing machine with me there. It stayed at home. Didn't have my overlocker with me. I got an overlocker for my 18th birthday present. That was like all I wanted. So I was obviously really into it, but didn't do it for years and years because I went to uni and then I was working and stuff. And then I had my creative outlet for years and years was, for 10 years, I was a florist as a job. So super creative job, and got to work with colours and textures all the time. And I ended up specialising for the last few years of those. I had a business doing wedding and events flowers, these huge weddings, which
Must
was
have been quite
amazing.
high pressure.
Yeah, for sure. I worked all the hours God sends because it was my business, as you do. And I ended up getting a bit burnt out, to be honest. And after 10 years, my body was starting to hurt all the time because it's a very physical job. And I thought, I don't know if I can do this anymore. The lease was coming up on my workshop that I rented. And I thought, I don't know if I can do several more years of this. Just working every day all summer, never getting weekends off and things. And I thought, maybe I need to have a more kind of normal job with normal hours. And ironically, I do something that's not normal hours now. But maybe just 40 hours a week is enough. And maybe I can then get back to like creative things in my spare time, like make my garden look nice, get back to sewing, maybe do things like learn to knit. And so I ended up working for the ambulance service, which is what I do now. I work in the ambulance service control room. So not normal hours. I do all weird shifts and night shifts and things, but it's at least a limited number of hours. And when I come home from work, I've still got all my creative energy left. I'm not using it all up at work like I used to be. So 5 years ago, when I changed jobs, had this sort of big career change, I got the sewing machine back out, which was actually at the end of 2019. So I kind of caught the lockdown sewing bug about 6 months early. So as soon as the whole pandemic thing happened, I was like, I'm in my element here. I've got my sewing room all set up. I've got piles of fabric to go at. I've got plenty to do, and just got completely hooked again. And that was it. And since then, I've pretty much sewn most of my own clothes, bar a few bits. I can't remember the last time I went into a clothes shop to buy clothes. I wouldn't even know what size to pick up. So I've been sewing a really, really long time. And then the knitting came, I don't know, 2.5 years ago. I just wanted to be able to make jumpers as well and not just sweatshirts, which is mostly what you can sew. So taught myself to knit with the help of the internet. And I think just anything making creative stuff with my hands, I seem to be quite good at, and picked that up quite quickly as well. But sewing is the first love, and you can just make anything, can't you? It's great.
Did you find it like when you were getting back into sewing into like 2019 that it was like a learning curve, or that the scene was quite different from what you were used to, or you just like
Oh,
straight back in?
yeah, whole other world in terms of, you know, like the sewers on the internet, on YouTube and stuff. I was like, so many people all over this. And I remembered only being able to get the old fashioned type sewing patterns that didn't seem to fit very well, and I didn't know what sizes to choose. But I do remember, I remembered all the basics, and I remembered all the basic techniques. I could still remember like how to put a zip in, and I could remember how to do buttonholes and all that kind of like basic stuff, and the basic garments construction I had a good handle on because I'd done a lot of it in the past. But all the kind of indie sewing patterns and designs and styles that actually could make cool clothes out of, and not the really old-fashioned stuff that I'd done years ago, was a bit of a revelation. I was like, I could actually make a wearable wardrobe now with the
Yeah.
resources that are available. And yeah, that's what I set about doing, and I'm just completely obsessed at this point.
So is that something that you're aspiring to, like having a fully handmade wardrobe?
I'd say I'm nearly there, I reckon. I'm probably about 80-90%, but bearing in mind that for 40 hours of my week, for my work week, I wear a uniform. So I don't have to have like a work wardrobe. There's a lot of days in my week where I don't have to have sort of other, your regular kind of casual or smart casual wardrobe or whatever, because I wear a uniform. But yeah, I can't remember the last time I wore like a dress or a top or trousers that weren't made by me. There's the odd few bits and bobs, and there's a few things that I bought in charity shops and then altered to fit me better or changed how the garment was. So I guess they're not fully me made, they're just like me altered. But yeah, I'd say I'm pretty close. I haven't done much underwear sewing. I've done a few pairs of knickers, that kind of thing, but not had a foray into bra making yet. So maybe that needs to be on the list.
That's
But
like a whole different experience, isn't it?
yeah, I feel like the fitting is going to be quite tricky. But it'd be nice to have something that's like perfectly fitted and amazing and really comfortable, wouldn't it? I've done swimwear and things. I'm a big swimmer, and I do like making swimwear. So I guess that's quite similar to making knickers and bras and things.
Awesome. That sounds like you made really good progress. Are you thinking of doing Me Made May this year?
I have thought about it, and then I thought actually a lot of the days I'm just wearing like a green uniform, so I don't know how interesting posting anything would be. But the whole idea of Me Made May is that you don't actually have to share anything or post anything. It's just for your own, looking at your own usage of your wardrobe yourself, isn't it? So maybe I need to just be making notes or taking a picture each time I'm wearing an outfit that's got me made items in it, and just as a kind of reference for me to see which things am I reaching for the most, which things are going in the wash the most because I'm wearing them all the time. To give me an idea to inform my choices going forward of these are the clothes that I prefer to wear. Perhaps I need to make more of these. So perhaps I could do my own private Me Made May without sharing it, because honestly, 4 days out of a week, I'm just in a green uniform.
Yeah. I mean, also the idea of like posting a picture every single day, like I don't think I've ever made it all the way through May. I do like the
Yeah,
first
I feel
week
like
and
it's a
then
marathon. It's like people
miss
that
one
do
day and it's done.
Vlogmas on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Vlogmas must be so challenging. They must be like, oh gosh, okay, I've got to think of something to do today, otherwise it's going to be a really boring vlog.
Yeah, I don't think that I could take that on. I'm sort of averaging about one video every 10 days. I can't imagine putting something decent out every day. It's a lot of work.
Very impressive.
Yeah, they must be just not sleeping for the entirety of December, people who do that.
Or they just secretly do loads of sewing in November and they're like, oh, this is what I made today.
Yeah, maybe. Or that, perhaps that's why they all do the advent calendars.
Oh
Because at
yeah,
least
and
there's
then you've got at
something
least that.
every day to like open. Um, I mean, maybe that's possible. I do quite fancy a sewing advent calendar. I've not had one before.
To put your order in. Be like, early Christmas present. Could I have an advent calendar, please?
Yeah, maybe my husband needs to get me one.
Yeah. Can't buy yourself an advent calendar. Right, before we get on to talking about like your stash, do you want to tell us about your big stash down project that you're working on this year?
Yeah, so kind of thought it's weird, isn't it? I started my YouTube channel only in November time. Just kind of fancied having a go and quite like the idea of making videos and learning how to edit them and stuff. And kind of getting a bit more involved in the online community of sewers and knitters. And January rolls around and everybody's doing like their make nine or their goals for the year, or these are the things that I want to make. These are the challenges that I want to overcome. And the only thing I could think was actually, I just want to use the fabric I've got. and stop shopping, because it was starting to get me down a little bit. I've not even got a gigantic stash at all, compared to some that I've seen, which is totally fine if that's like cool with you. But I was starting to feel a little bit like I was buying all this gorgeous fabric, lovely quality things, and I had things in mind to make with them. And then time just runs away with you. And I don't know where I thought I was getting all this time when I got a big bundle of fabrics from somewhere. And you know what it's like, you're on a website and you sort of think, oh, I'll have that and I'll have that. And then I've got to make the delivery charge worth it. So let's find a couple more bits. And before you know it, you've got a stack of like 5 or 6 fabrics. And I don't know where I think I'm going to get the time to make like that many garments in like a month or something. But the next month I'd go and buy some more. So had all these plans for these fabrics, and then by the time I actually get to that fabric again, I've changed my mind about what I might want to make or what I actually need in my wardrobe, and then it gets a bit depressing and it just sits there and I buy some more. So yeah, I think so many people are in this cycle, aren't they, of like buy some stuff, don't have time to make it, lose the inspiration for it, the weather changes perhaps, and the thick winter coating fabric is just not appropriate for spring anymore, so it goes back in the cupboard for another year. And it was only when I was beginning of January, like really having a tidy up of the sewing room, which is where I am at the moment. Very lucky, I've got a whole room to dedicate to it. I just kept finding piles of fabric everywhere, and they weren't in the cupboard, the fabric cupboard, which is supposed to be where all the fabric lives, because it wouldn't all fit in there. And I thought we just need to get to a point where it'll at least just fit in one sensibly sized cupboard. So I've set about not buying any new fabric for as long as I can possibly hold out for, and just using what I've got and getting creative with what I've got, and getting very creative with the scraps and remnants to actually make usable stuff, nice garments, usable things for our house out of what I've got, until the point where it all fits in the cupboard again. And this could take a year, it could take more than a year. It depends how fast I can sew it all. But I don't just want to like trawl through it, just make, but not really think about whether those things are useful to me. I'm not kind of into filling my wardrobe with loads of stuff I won't use. And I'm not into making loads of mistakes and then sending stuff to landfill or the charity shop either, because I'm quite eco-conscious. So I'm having to be quite creative with stuff that I've got in order to make things. And so far, I think the last update, I had not bought anything when I last did a video update. I have bought one thing now, but it's allowed within my rules. I set myself some rules, and I bought a pattern specifically because there are 2 fabrics that I think I want to make into that pattern.
Is it a new pattern that's just recently come out as well?
No, it's been around for ages. It's the Tibetan Chupper by Folkwear Patterns. It's this like wrap style dress, and it's got this cool sort of like different style of wrap skirt. And the shape of the wrap at the front is really interesting because it sort of comes up quite high and it's sleeveless. And I just think it's gorgeous. I've thought it was gorgeous for years. And I think there's a couple of fabrics in my stash that I've got that I think are going to be just perfect for it. So I allowed myself to buy that pattern because it will help me get some of the fabric out of my stash and into the wardrobe. And that's within my rules, it's allowed. And one of the rules is I can buy a pattern if I don't have anything like it. So if I have a pattern that's similar to what I want to make, I've got to try and like hack it, adjust it, do something to the pattern. But if it's nothing like anything that I've got, I'm allowed to buy it. So I did buy that pattern, but it is the singular only thing that I've bought since probably November, December time. I've not bought thread, I've not bought buttons, zips, notions, not bought interfacing. I've been completely getting by on what I've got, which just shows how much I had.
Amazing. Are you finding it difficult to not buy stuff?
And do you know what's helped the most? Your wonderful app. Because every time I am tempted to, or I get an email through from like Fabric Godmother or some gorgeous fabric shop, every time I get a bit tempted to click on the link and go, oh, I wonder what's new. I wonder what nice prints they've got. I just think, no, you've got a cupboard full upstairs, plus several giant plastic boxes full of fabric. shop now. I've got it all catalogued on my Stash Hub, and I just go and flick through there instead and shop my stash instead, and it reminds me how many nice things I've already got, and it stops me shopping. It's like cured me of my shopping addiction.
Amazing.
Which is
I
brilliant.
might to use that as like a sound bite. Stops
Yeah,
cured me of my
literally, it's
shopping
so
addiction.
good. It's so good. And you know,
Yeah.
I had the subscription for years. Um, Probably over a year, I had the full paid up subscription of the Stash Hub app. And it was only when I decided, right, I've got to sow the stash, that I was like, now is the time to catalogue the stash. And I have done. I mean, go and watch it if you want, guys. But honestly, it's just me getting sort of more stressed and sweaty as the video goes on. I did a whole video that was just entirely me spending 2 days cataloguing all the fabric and putting into Stash Hub. Doing it like in one big go like that, I probably wouldn't recommend. It was a bit stressful, and it got a bit boring because it was just endlessly measuring pieces of fabric and then folding them all up nicely and hoovering out the cupboard. And yeah, I got a bit disheveled and sweaty and gross by the end of the video, which is kind of funny. But I did manage to do all of the fabric, and now I can just shop in the app. It's great.
Did you find the cataloging process was quite like inspiring as well for like rediscovering fabrics and like you were thinking of ideas at the same time?
Yeah, it totally did. I discovered a few old gems that I was like, oh my God, why have I not done anything with this yet? I must have had this for years, and it's in a really good quantity to make something beautiful for the summer or something. Yeah, there were a few really lovely ones, which now I'm like itching to get sewing, but not enough hours in the day, right?
Yeah. Amazing. We've got a few people in the chat are finding your the fabric buying cycle very relatable.
Hmm.
And yeah, Alison says scrolling Stash Hub is like shopping but without waiting for delivery.
Yes. Oh, yeah, because it's just like there upstairs waiting for you. But oh yeah. Oh, the shopping is real. Do you know what I think it is? I think it's the potential. Like new fabrics, they just have the potential to be anything. And it just really gets the creative juices flowing, and that's so satisfying, isn't it? And just fresh, uncut piece of fabric is just like, what are you going to be? What could you, and then you see other people using a similar or the same fabric to make something like wildly different to what you might make with it, and you just think the possibilities are endless. It's that potential that gets us excited about it. I think that's why we keep buying
Yeah.
more of it.
I think the potential can also like stall us sometimes as well, because if you have a fabric that you really, really like, but it has the potential to become anything, so you kind of think,
Hmm.
oh yeah, I've got this dress that I kind of like, but maybe I should do a 12 first, and then that doesn't turn out perfect. You're like, oh, maybe I should do something else, and then it just stays there in your
Yeah.
stash, but it's also hard to like let go of that first idea that you had, because that's sort of
Hmm.
the intention for it. So you're like, I'll just leave it there, and then that can still have the potential to be that thing, or maybe something else. And I'll just buy a different fabric in the meantime to do something, and you just end up like getting all these fabrics and not using them. It's too easy, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, every time. And then you think, if it's a particularly precious one, like I often think this with like dead stock or remnants, which I quite like buying because you're sort of like saving it. You know, you're sort of saving it from the perils of possible landfill or sort of ending up washed up on a beach somewhere, like when you buy like the last bit of a roll or you buy some dead stock or something. And then you think, I'll probably never be able to get this fabric again. So it's got to be the perfect thing that I make with it. It's like it's the only time I'm going to be able to use this fabric, and that's like, "Urgh." But then you forget that actually 6 months down the line, there's going to be a similar fabric out of a similar composition of fibers that could easily make something very similar that you're going to fall in love with just as much. Like there's always more fabric. I've heard you say that
Yeah.
before. There's always more fabric. So as tempted as I am now to go and buy more new stuff, I can just use what I've got. And in a year's time, once I've got the stash more under control, I can shop and find plenty of nice new things. There's always going to be more. There's always going to be something that you love. So I'm just exercising a little bit of self-control at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I think the way that you've set up your challenge, you've done it really well as well, because you've got your target is like to fit everything in the cupboard. So you kind
Hmm.
of know what you're aiming for. It's not just like I'm aiming for a smaller stash, because you could use
Yeah,
one piece and be like, well, it's smaller now, so that's fine. Like, so
go shopping.
you've got that kind of obvious aim there, and then you've also, like, I mean, I think people should go and watch your YouTube video to find out all the rules in detail. But like the rules that you've made have flexibility to allow you to like still be creative. So it's not
Hmm.
like you're a chore to use your stash. It's just like it's more that you're prioritizing your stash and being creative as well, um,
Hmm.
in trying to uphold your aims.
Yeah, and so far so good. It's working all right so far. I'm pretty excited about the current project because it's like the ultimate stash buster, and
Exciting. Do you want to show us?
I have talked about it on my channel. I've been doing it today. I've been in this room like pretty much all day working on this. And it's quite an involved project. Like I didn't realise when I started it, but it is actually quite involved because there's so many pieces and you have to overlock every edge. And there's a lot of pressing of seams and stuff. But I'm making the closet core poof pattern. Closet core patterns, if you like sign up for their newsletter, they have this poof pattern that's like, a footstool poof thing.
It's quite
It,
big, isn't it?
it's pretty big, yeah. But I'm getting on quite well with it. This is the top of mine.
Oh, the
So
colours
yeah,
have worked out really well.
it's pretty big. But the idea is that you can make it all out of scrap fabrics because all the pieces are like fairly small, so you can do it out of like remnants and stuff. And then you stuff it with all like your tiny diddy scraps that are too small to use for anything else, or they're just like in colors that you don't like, or you can't think of anything else to do with them. So instead of putting them in the bin for years and years, I've been saving them in like bags and boxes all around the place. And I've got time. I could fill 3 poofs, I reckon. But
I
anyway,
mean,
I've been meaning to
you'll
make this
be
thing for years.
surprised. It
I've
it
been,
eats a lot of scraps.
yeah, and apparently it gets really heavy. So I think once it's in place in the living room where it's going to live, it's just going to stay in one place because this thing is going to be so heavy. But yeah, it's pretty big. But I've got this. This is the top. And fabrics included. I'm so proud of this. I've not bought a single thing to make this. Absolutely nothing. It was all stuff I already had. This patterned fabric was leftovers from a pair of trousers that I made. That was a pair of trousers that I made, that the remnants, green corduroy. That is an old denim pinafore dress that was just way too small. And I was thinking, oh, well, denim you can use for all sorts of things. And I'm going to use it for this. The piping, which is just sort of attached, I think you saw on my video, didn't you? I didn't have any piping cord to make the piping, so I knitted some piping cord using an I-cord knitting method. And then the fabric that I used, I made bias binding to make the piping cord out of some old work shirts. So the green, ambulance green work shirts that I had permission from work to use for sewing projects and stuff. We're supposed to give them back when we get new uniform, but they said, oh, we know you're into sewing, like you can keep them. So I've made my own piping completely from scratch. I've also, because it's actually really difficult to get these bits to marry up in the middle, and I didn't manage it very well. I had a kit of like button things that you can self-cover buttons. So I used the same shirt fabric to cover a button that I'm going to cover that mess in the middle like that. So I'm
It's a
going to
good
sew that
idea.
on and neaten up the middle and it all matches. And then, oh, what else did I get done today? The sides, you make this like giant tube thing of all the side pieces, which will then get attached, and then the piping goes around. And the bottom is just the bigger bits that I had left of the patterned fabric. And the zip was out of an old tote bag that I had that I used the fabric for something else. The tote bag was kind of falling apart, but the zip was perfectly good. Wasn't quite long enough for this, but I adjusted the pattern slightly and managed to use that zip in there. And I even added a little tab over where the zip goes in so that the metal end of the zip won't scratch our nice wooden floor. when it's
Genius.
in situ, because as we've discovered, this thing when it's full of scraps is going to be so heavy. I thought it would be a good idea for the zip to not start putting dents in our floor. So that's where I've got with it. I've got the day off work tomorrow as well, so I'm going to be working on that more tomorrow. Pretty excited about it, and then we can start making it eat all the scraps.
Yeah, it
Which is
uses
really exciting.
loads. Like you think, oh, yeah, I've got way too many scraps to fill this, but then you just keep stuffing them in.
Yeah.
I would say they get quite hard. Like, so if you wanted
Mm-hmm.
to sit on it, you could like put some like cushion stuffing or something in the top.
Mm-hmm. I think it's
But
going to be like a
if it's still
footstool
a
for us.
footrest,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm pretty excited about feeding the beast with all the scraps.
it's
It's
gonna
going to
be
be
so satisfying. It's like
so satisfying.
every bit you shove in, it's just gone. I've made a couple of poofs and then given them away, and that's like really
Mm-hmm.
ideal because then it's like complete. It's like out of my life, but it feels like quite a generous gift because it's like furniture, but it's also just
Nice.
like here's loads of my garbage. Happy
This has taken me
housewarming.
quite a long time to make. That's a really generous gift.
Well, I didn't do the closet core one, but I did a
Uh-huh.
poof, so it's like smaller than the closet core and less pieces. But yeah, Bridget says the poof is great, so I assume Bridget's made one as well.
Yeah. It's been a classic for years, hasn't it? I think when I started sewing again and started discovering all the indie pattern designers, I saw that poof and it was like they chalk it up as the ultimate scrap busting project, don't they? And I thought, I'm making a mental note of that. Maybe one day I'll have enough scraps to make that. Now I think I've got more than enough scraps to make it and I'm finally doing it. And prompted by my husband saying, are you going to make this thing or am I just going to buy a footstool for the lounge because I really want one? And I was
Oh,
like, well, I'm
imagine the
just going to have to make it.
devastation. You save the scraps for years and then he just gets one from like home base or whatever, and you're like, why?
I was like, no, I'm gonna make this thing. I'm gonna make it. Anyway, he's seen the pieces. I did change the plan a bit from the colours that he approved because I found other scraps that would work better than cutting into a fresh piece of fabric for the outside bit. But he saw it all together today, and he does still approve. So it's like it's allowed to go in the lounge.
Nice. I'm really curious if anyone's gonna like come over and be like, that green fabric's really familiar. Is that? And you're just there like, yeah, that was my work uniform.
Yeah, it's like work uniform and some corduroy trousers I made. I really love that colour green as well. So like weirdly, quite a lot of my outside of work clothes are the same colour as my work clothes.
Have you still got the trousers that you used the remnants to make the poof? Like, can you do
Yes, I
some
have.
pictures of you like sitting on the poof with your matching trousers?
I think we might need some pictures, mightn't we? Because yeah, that's going to look a bit special. I've often thought about like scraps of stuff, like making hats to go with, like bucket hats for the summer to go with like dresses I've made as kind of because I did that. I seem to remember I did that during the pandemic. I made dresses and then like made matching masks, which was kind of funny to like wear with them. And then everybody would know you made your dress.
Yeah. Or they'd be like, oh, where did you get that? I want a matching mask. And then you're
I
like,
was
oh
like,
no, I made
no,
it.
I made it
Well,
all.
there's the Sew Skin Summer Challenge happening next month, so that would be a good one to whip up some bucket hats for because you just have to sew something that protects you from the sun. So
Oh,
that'd be
I
good for
sew
bucket hats.
sun protecting things all the time. I'm not go I burn, I just end up like lobster. So I tend to sew a lot of things that cover you up anyway, like cover your shoulders and things. So, oh, maybe I need to get involved with that one.
Yeah, for sure. You could win some prizes for just making what you're already making.
I have to think that, like, how can I shoehorn like stuff I'm already making into challenges and stuff? But I'm never organized enough to like properly enter them. I
Well,
need to
especially if you
get better
don't
at
find out about the challenge until it's like on,
that.
then you like if you don't have all the stuff that you need to make that project, it's sort of a bit of a rush then to get everything and
Yeah,
plan
I'm
it
not
out.
good.
So
I'm not good being rushed either. I'm not a quick sewer. People always say, don't they? Oh, you should like apply and go on the sewing bee. And I'm like, no, I would be that person that like never finishes a project and it would just be embarrassing.
They're there like 5 minutes, dresses on mannequins, and you're like, wait, what? I've just cut it out.
Yeah, the cutting always takes me like forever, and I have to go and have a cup of tea and have a little break and like take my time. And then even the sewing bit, I just don't get on with very fast. I think I'm too much of a perfectionist, but I would be that person that is just completely left behind and never finishes anything, and Patrick would be disappointed. So I just, yeah, that show would be a nightmare for me. I'm too slow. Um, I'd love it though. Like the experience of it would be so cool, wouldn't it? Yeah, too slow.
See
I
what
do
the
wonder. I don't know whether any of your like sewing bee guests have said how, like, do they do a lot of like seam finishing and stuff when they make things on that show? Or is it mainly the
yeah, I
outsides of
don't know.
stuff that looks good? Because that takes loads of time, like doing your overlocking or doing your bound seams or however you're finishing everything off inside to make it all really nice and hard wearing and proper. Do they do a lot of that, or do they kind of skip a lot of that for the sake of like, make a coat in 4 hours?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm hopefully talking to Pasha next week, so I'll ask her.
Can you ask her?
Yeah,
Because
I
I'm,
will.
I'm fascinated. I need to watch next week and then I can ask her in the chat.
Yeah. Right,
Yeah.
speaking of the chat, let's see what's going on in our chat today. Um, so Agata from In Agata's Cottage says, I took a break from my fabric band to buy some stuff from my favourite shop that's closing down. Yeah, I've seen a few
Oh,
shops closing down lately.
closing down sale. Too tempting.
Bridget's just bought some stuff from Bourne Textiles in Glasgow. That's put paid to her
Mm.
resolution to stop buying. Well, you don't have to be like, oh, well, I've bought one thing, so now it's all gone bad. You can still, carry on the year with good intentions. You don't have to be 100% successful.
I don't think, yeah, I don't think it's an all or nothing thing. I think I recognized that I had enough variety in my stash that I probably wouldn't have to buy anything. And honestly, it kind of like makes for a good hook on YouTube, doesn't it? To have a series like that. Like, is she gonna fail? Is she gonna buy anything? So far, no, I haven't. But yeah, if I hadn't got like loads of summery type fabrics that I could make spring and summer stuff out of now, I would be so much more tempted to shop because I'd want to be making like nice summer dresses and tops and stuff. But I have got enough variety for through the year I can keep making stuff. So I get it. Sometimes you just have to buy stuff, but so far so good. I've not managed not to.
Yeah, Mel says, if you buy haberdashery, how do you avoid fabric falling in the basket?
It's quite difficult. Again, it's that thing that you want to make the delivery charges worth it. She's like, oh, if they're going to charge me £6 for delivery, I should get like a couple of meters of that and a couple of meters of that and like make it worth it. Or the dreaded like spend another £15.50 and you get free delivery. And then of course you're just buying stuff that you weren't intending to. But I have not had to buy any haberdashery yet either. So there's been no temptation to like add to the basket. I expect at some point this year there will be, and there might be a big fail video where I just completely crumble and I buy 5 lengths of fabric because I just can't help myself. We'll see how we go.
Well, you did say that you're not immune from gifting as well, so maybe some shops will send you some stuff. That'll be good.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, people keep asking me, oh, you've got a YouTube channel now. Like, have people started sending you free stuff? And I'm like, no, maybe one day. I don't know. I'm kind of not in it for that, but I just like making the videos, really. It's fun. I was offered a leather bag making kit, but being a vegan,
Mm.
a leather bag making kit wasn't really my thing. So I had to politely say no to that. I said they looked lovely, but they were made out of material that I just don't buy. So I was like, I can't really say yes to that. But anybody that wants to send me fabric, make
Vegan fabric,
small
please.
amounts so it doesn't spill out the cupboard.
That's amazing. Yeah. What else we got? Emma from So Do It Emma said, I found Jen's Stash Hub video incredibly inspiring and spurred me on to de-stash some fabrics.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it was a mission. I've nearly finished cataloguing all the patterns now as well, but I didn't spend 2 days doing all of that at once. After doing all the fabric, I was just a bit done with it. Like, I love the app, and once it's all in there, it's like brilliant. But because I was cataloguing it all at once and not as I went along, it was a lot. And the patterns, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I had like so many hundreds.
They're
Um,
so easy to accumulate, aren't they?
and then you think how much money I must have spent, and so many of them are really similar, and you just think I could have just hacked that one to be like that one and got a bit creative with what I already had. But because I didn't have it catalogued properly, I didn't know what I had. And you're not going to go hunting through hundreds of patterns every single time, are you? So I think I've probably done like over 3/4 of the patterns are now catalogued in there. All with the amounts, like I've done all the quantities of fabric that you would need for my size,
Wow.
for all the different views, and like I've done it properly. So nearly there with the patterns. I'm just every night I've got them I've got them in a stack next to where I sit on the sofa when we're like watching TV in the evenings. And if I don't fancy doing a bit of knitting, I'll catalogue a few patterns. So I've just been doing that, and they're nearly there now. But I've started making some like projects in the app, which is
Exciting.
really exciting. Yeah. Haven't done the whole project complete thing yet, but like it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, Alison mentions that in the chat. She said there's nothing better than clicking project complete and getting the congratulations.
Oh, you get a congratulations. Cool.
Oh, spoilers, spoilers. Yeah, just wait until you finish your first stack of project.
Honestly, I'm such a fangirl of that app. It's like revolutionized my sewing life. It's given me like motivation to sew because I just don't feel like it's all out of control. I'm organized now, and it gets me really excited about fabrics that have been sitting around for years because I can see the patterns that they're going to go with, and I can be a bit more kind of creative and not have to. I used to sort of do things with like Excel spreadsheets and try and organize myself that way, but it wasn't like visual and exciting enough. It's nice having the pictures there.
Yeah, yeah. So I originally tried a Word document because I knew I wanted the pictures, and pictures aren't great in Excel. So I was like, I'll do it on Word, but obviously, like moving pictures around a Word document is horrendous. So that did not last long.
I do, or you end up with like some horrible PowerPoint presentation.
Like, and this month's fabric purchase is this.
So gross.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, no,
Alison says,
top work. You and Doug have done a great job with it. It's really good. Like, well worth the
like,
money. If people haven't got it yet, I would highly recommend. It's good. It's really shopping the stash on there. If you're going to scroll the stuff you already own. Like, it just makes sense.
yeah.
It's good.
I mean, it's really inspiring that you feel so differently about your stash just after cataloging it because
Yeah.
you haven't reduced the amount, like, because you didn't do any destashing, you've just
No.
reorganized it and sort of cataloged so you know what you've got.
Hmm. Yeah, it has made me. Yeah, it has made me feel differently about it, and it made me realize like I've actually got quite good taste. I've got some really nice things in here that I liked when I bought them 5 years ago, and I still like it now. And because I'm pretty picky, I'm not. You'd probably notice in any of my videos, I'm not a florals person. I don't. Looking at my stash from over here, I don't think there's a single floral in there.
And that's quite surprising as an
Yeah.
ex-florist. I'm
Yeah,
just done
no, and
with
I love that.
flowers now.
Well, this is my flowers. I've got an armful of flower tattoos, and I love flowers, and I love them out in my garden, and I love them when they're real. And I think it's that florals on clothing somehow just don't suit me when I'm wearing them. I don't know. It's just a thing. I have made floral things before, but they tend to be the things that I just don't wear. So I don't buy florals anymore. I think it would have to be a very geometric floral for me to buy it. Um, but yeah, the prints I really love a print, but they tend to be a bit more geometric or a bit more graphic or really bold, and kind of ditzy floral is just not my jam. I love them on other people, but not on me.
Well, that's really good that you figured out like what it is that you like and what things you wouldn't wear, because now you can make those informed decisions when you do start shopping again.
Yeah, and I make mistakes sometimes. I've got another thing to show you actually. And I made a mistake with this fabric when I first got it. It's this one. It's lovely. It's an African wax print. And I just think it's so cool. It's almost like little poker chips or something. It's really,
I
really
was
cool. I
thinking like
love
UFOs.
green.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I love green. It's quite a lightweight one. I think it's like a poly blend. It's not one of those really nice 100% cotton ones. I think it's like a poly cotton blend. But anyway, I made a jacket out of this that was a bit of a fail. I've still got it because I'm like trying to figure out ways to style it. And it was a few years ago that I made this jacket and I've worn it out like maybe twice. Anyway, I've got loads of the fabric left. And cataloguing the stash in Stash Hub allowed me to see this next to other things. And I'm not usually into patchwork, but I'm going to have a go at like piecing a dress together. And I'm going to do that with this stack of my husband's old shirts, because I thought all the different shades of blue kind of look cool with the green. And I thought if I have one print and then loads of different planes, it's not going to be too much and it's not going to look like, you know, that kind of patchwork thing where it can all get a bit gypsy caravan. I did, for other people, totally fine. For me, it's just not my jam. So I thought if I stick to one like kind of bold print and then plains, I might be able to do a sort of patchworky thing. And how cool to have a dress made of old shirts. I need to harvest the buttons off these actually. Like I barely ever buy buttons. I just harvest them off old clothes. And I haven't got a pattern that is suitable for the sort of dress I want. I want a kind of like strappy sundress with loads of gathered tiers. That's just one of those like chuck it on and you can eat a massive barbecue, but it doesn't matter because this thing is like big and swishy.
The
And
buffet dress, as they coined it on
yes, like proper
Sewing
buffet
Bee.
dress. And I don't have a pattern that's really suitable, so I think I'm gonna self-draft something.
Oh, exciting. Bit of
And I
maths
have done that
for the
before,
gathers.
using like body measurements. And I thought with gathered, you just do like big rectangles, don't you? So I think it'll be okay. It's just about getting the top bit right and what shape I want the top. But I don't really want to have to buy a pattern. So I think I'm gonna like self-draft these into some sort of like glorious patchwork dress.
Sounds
See how we go. And
exciting.
I'm so excited about, I got so excited about that this morning when I was working on my poof. I was thinking, what am I going to make next? And this might have jumped the queue because I had a bit of a brainwave about it. And that's going to be the next thing, I think. I mean, it might all change tomorrow. I might change my mind. Once I've stuffed the poof, I might get inspired to make something else. You know how it is.
Amazing. Did you have any other fabrics that you wanted to show us?
Yeah, well, I need some help with one.
Quick,
And it's
get
going to look
ready
a
to
bit
chat.
It's going to look a bit boring compared to some of the other things we've seen because it's plain. The colour is amazing though. How good is this colour? I think it really suits me, like looking at it on the screen. Like this is I had my colours done a few years ago. This is one of my top colours. Very magenta pink. I've got 1.5 meters of this and it's a very heavy weight, very drapey viscose jersey. And I bought this at the same time as another colour of it, same fabric. And I made a dress out of it, the blue, like a bright blue version of this. And it's so heavy that the skirt part of the dress like dragged the bodice down and made it all look really stretched. And it didn't really work. It was just too heavy. And I'd bought 1.5 meters of this thinking I could make like a knee length sort of t-shirty dress out of it. And now I'm thinking it's just going to be too heavy. It'll be a bit of a disaster like the other one. So now I'm thinking some sort of top maybe. And I'd like to know, first of all, someone needs to tell me the name of it. There's a fibre mood pattern that I've seen a few people make. I know Ruan, the Yorkshire Sew Girl, has made one. And it's like a sort of jumper pattern that has like this sort of drawstring section that comes down one side and you can gather up a bit at one side of the front. And then it has a bit of a kind of like mock turtleneck thing. But what I'm thinking is I could make like a lightweight version of that, maybe with shorter sleeves. And instead of the turtleneck, just do like a neckband, like a t-shirt, so that it's a bit more like summer appropriate or spring appropriate. And I'm just wondering, with something that is so drapey, is that gonna work with that kind of top? I don't know. Has anybody made that one? Do you know the one I mean? The fiber mood pattern?
Yeah. I'm just trying to look it up now, but I can't find it. But
I should have looked up the
I'll look.
name before we came on, but
I'll look. I know
my
which one
feeling
you
is
mean, though. Yeah.
I think it probably recommends things like French Terrier or sweatshirting fabric, which I think I've seen people make it in before. I'm just wondering,
Oh, it's
even though
this
this
one.
is a heavy jersey, it is very drapey. It has got that viscosy thing about it. And I think I'm just wondering whether it's going to make that gathered section look a bit weird. I don't know. Like it's lovely fabric. It's really nice quality, and I don't want to waste it. I just can't. Or if you've got any other suggestions for things that aren't dresses, because this is just too heavy for it, let me know. I've got 1.5 meters.
Cool. I don't. Yeah, we need to get some feedback in the chat here because I don't sew a lot of jersey. I
Well, I
found
don't
the
really either.
pattern. It's called the Soraya jumper.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the one. It's really cool, right? I thought you could do a like t-shirt version with shorter sleeves for summer. And it's just a
I
bit
think
more
like
interesting than a t-shirt, isn't it?
I feel like you probably wouldn't want a fabric that was like too thick because then you wouldn't get like the drape from like the gather.
Hmm.
I don't know, what does it suggest? Uh,
And then there's the question
recommended.
of like, how much do you gather it when you're wearing it? How do you style it?
I guess it depends how long it is and if you want your belly out.
Yeah. Well, I thought it kind of had it was like, we do that like there's that joke that like only millennials do the front tuck anymore, the French tuck. I
Yeah.
totally still do that. I'm a bit like, I'm not letting that one go. I still wear skinny jeans sometimes as well. Um, but I thought that top is like that without having to tuck it in because it's all drawn up on one side with the gathering drawstring thing. So it's like the French tuck without having to tuck. So it's like suitable for current
Genius.
fashions. But yeah, I'm wondering whether this might work. God, it looks so bright
Yeah.
on the screen. It is actually really bright. They'll
Oh,
see
it's
me coming in now,
gorgeous.
won't they? It's a lovely colour. Really nice. I was gutted about the dress. I'm going to have to use the fabric. Do you know, I haven't put that in Stash Hub. The dress that I made out of the blue version of this. I can see it hanging over there, but I didn't put it in Stash Hub because it's now fabric that I need to use because the dress was like unwearable. I missed one. I'll have to put that in.
Oh,
But yeah, if anybody
amazing.
has any suggestions, I'll check back on the replay of this video as well in case anybody like puts any brainwaves about this. It's just, yeah, I've sewn with viscose jerseys before, but they've been a lot lighter weight. This is just like really heavy.
Yeah, we did have one suggestion in the chat, which was the Vera top by Forget Me Not Patterns,
The
which is
Vera
like
top.
it's a free pattern, so you wouldn't even have to buy a pattern, but it's like
Well, like a free
I
one.
think it's like V-neck, but I think you can also do other necklines, and then it's a kind of poofy sleeve and then quite a deep cuff.
Oh, okay. I've got the Somerset t-shirt, which sounds a bit like that. I did wonder about making that. I don't know if I'm a big sleeve person. I don't know. I've made big sleeved things before, and I would like to know how people go about ironing them.
Yeah, the gathers makes stuff quite hard to iron.
So difficult to iron. That's like the main thing that puts me off. I just feel like it looks great until you wash it for the first time and then it just looks a mess because you can't iron it properly. Is there
I
a
do
trick? I
use
don't
for
know.
like the sleeve head like pressing ham.
Pressingham. Yeah, I did think that. That's like the only way. But I made, that was a bit, I'm telling you about all my disasters now. See, it doesn't always come out perfect. I made the Anthea blouse, the Anna Allen one. because I just thought I should because everybody else was making it. And this is like why I think we need to normalize not just making something because everyone else is. Because I made that because everyone else was, and it looked terrible on me. It looked really bad. It just didn't suit me at all. It was all the wrong shape. The neckline was a funny level on me. It just didn't suit my body shape at all, and it just didn't go with anything that I own. And also, I put it in the wash one time, got it back out again. Could I iron those sleeves to make them look decent again? No, I couldn't. So now it's just like a crumpled mess.
Mel's suggestion is to steam them, which is what they do at the dry cleaners instead of
Oh, I
ironing
think
them.
maybe I need to get a steamer. Apparently that's useful for like steaming your knitting to make it all nice as well. Perhaps I need to invest in a steamer.
Yeah, I did think about asking for a steamer for Christmas last year, but then I thought that's too tragic. I can't ask for that as a gift.
I don't know, 2 years ago my husband got me an iron and everybody
Yeah, I
thought
did
it was
get an iron as well.
hilarious. Everybody thought it was hilarious. He got me, what's that? I can't remember what, it's only over there. I can't remember what brand it is, but it's the one where you put it down and when you take your hand off, it like raises up off the ironing board. So you don't have to put it on its end. It's like so fancy. It's the best iron I've ever owned because, you know, I used to just have like the Robert Dias like £10 iron kind of thing. Anyway, this iron is like so whizzy, but people thought it was hilarious that he bought me an iron for Christmas, but it was like the perfect present. I loved it.
Well, you probably use it like almost every day now because you're
Yeah.
using it whenever you're sewing.
I know totally the classic thing that I love the pressing part when you're sewing because it's so satisfying. Like when you press a seam and it looks all crisp and perfect and it's like, oh, chef's kiss. And once the clothes are made, I hate ironing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I've got like the whizzy iron and the lovely ironing board cover that I made myself and it's all like nicely set up. And it's always out as well. I don't have to get it out because it's always out in the sewing room. It's like accessible. But I only iron things when absolutely necessary after they're made. But when I'm making stuff, love the ironing part.
Yeah.
Weird things like these are the things they don't tell you when you start sewing that are going to be like universal truths. You're going to love ironing, but only during the process of making.
Yeah. All right, we're going to quickly do Agta's question from Instagram, which was, what is your favorite type of fabric to sew?
Oh, I like a linen. Or a good cotton poplin.
Something very like, you know, structured and well behaved.
Something that presses well.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing too stretchy. Or a really good quality sweatshirting. It just goes through the overlocker like butter. Yeah, I've made some hoodies before that have been really satisfying because you don't have to sew them, do you? You just do it all on the overlocker. Quite like that. Yeah.
Nice. We've got a couple of comments about steamers. Emma, I asked for a steamer a couple of years ago and it's still in the box. Send it to Jen.
I'll have it. Send it to me. It sounds like I need it. Otherwise, I'll never be able to wear big sleeves.
And Bridget says, I love my steamer. It's great for velvet, seersucker, or anything that doesn't love an iron.
Oh, yeah. There are some things that you just can't iron because they go a bit shiny and weird. And like, who wants to iron garments using a pressing cloth? Like, oh. It's okay when you make in the making process, but I don't want to be doing it just to like get out the house in the morning.
Yeah, agree.
Need a steamer. Mum, if you're watching this, great Christmas present idea. She probably is. She watches all my videos, bless her. She's lovely.
Oh. Quick, move up the timeline. Easter present?
Yeah, just all like, you know, if you fancy sending me something, I'd love the steamer. Love you.
Amazing. All right, well, it's 9 p.m. now. So have you got anything you want to say just to wrap us up, Jen?
No, I think that's it. I'm encouraging everyone to go delving into their own stash and shopping that instead of buying stuff because you can probably make more than you think with it. That's what I'm finding.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've got off to well, not even like a start, I guess, like a really good progress so far on your big stash down. So
Yeah,
yeah,
there's
really
starting to
inspiring.
become a few spaces in the cupboard. There's white space. It's good. Yeah.
Nice. Exciting. Oh well, yeah, I'm excited to follow along with your YouTube channel and see how your projects come along and what you end up making with that pink jersey. We'll
Yeah. Yeah,
see
we'll
if
have to
anyone
have a
watches
think
on
about
catch
that.
up if they leave any comments as well.
Hmm. Yeah, we'll do.
Right.
It's been really nice to meet you, and thank you everyone for coming and watching.
Yeah, thanks everyone for chatting in the live chat. And if you watched on replay as well, do pop into the comments. And I will be back at the same time next week. Bye everyone. Bye, Jen.
Bye.